Award. What else did you read about news today? Neeraj Chopra? Married yesterday. Okay. Who is Neeraj Chopra? Okay. Okay. And who is Manu Bakar?
Manu Bakar is shooter.
Yeah, shooter. Yes. Now tell me something. Do you read everything similarly? Like you're reading the newspaper in the morning and then you read your course book. Do you read it similarly or do you read it differently? How? How is it different? Yeah? The topics are different, but your manner of reading, the way you read it, is it same or is it different? How? How do you read a newspaper? Okay, loudly. And how do you read a newspaper and how do you read a course book? Yeah? Which is more serious reading, tell me? Newspaper or your course book? Course book. So how do you read it? What is the difference? Suppose I ask you to give me different words to tell how the reading of newspaper is different from reading the course book. What are the for the newspaper, what are the different words you will use?
Newspaper is showing political.
It shows political views. Yes. What else? Yeah? Basic, major information. Okay. But from your syllabus book, what do? You read to get every little bit of information. Okay, so there are two kinds of reading basically. Write down if you want. One is called skimming and one is called, one is called skimming, S-K-I-M-M-I-N-G, skimming, S-K-I-M-M-I-N-G, skimming, and the other is called scanning, S-C-A-N-N-I-N-G, skimming and scanning. Okay, so the thing is, when you are reading things, you should not read everything in the same way. You should know how to read which material, and that is where that previous thing will come in. Why do you need to read this? Why are you reading this? What is your purpose of reading this? If your purpose is to get basic information, you can only skim. You can only skim. But if your purpose is to get every little bit of information, you can do scanning. Okay? So suppose you are looking at the brochure of Arts College. Okay, brochure means what? Brochure means the book which has the information. The book which has got all the info. Thank you. Which has got all the information. Brochure. Okay, if you are looking at that, you will only flip. Flip means go through it very quickly to only get the basic information. Then what will you read? You will only read the main lines. You will only read the titles, subtitles. Similarly, in a newspaper, what will you do? You will only read the titles. Yeah? What is the burning issue today? Titles and subtitles. Yeah, Prayagraj. What is happening in Prayagraj? Yeah? You'll only look at the titles and the subtitles and you'll get the information.
Modi was a monkey bath.
Modi?
Election topic.
Election topic. Yes.
And Amit Shah was founded 20th Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel.
Okay. This kind of information you will quickly take in and finish off your reading. That is called skimming. Skimming comes from where? You skim the milk. Like what do you do? When you Huh? Yeah? Why is that sound coming? It is. Okay, leave it. Now what happens is, when in the milk, what do? You skim the milk and take out the butter from the top. Similarly, when you skim a piece of writing, you just take out the most important information and you finish your reading. Okay. But when you are okay. Is this working? No? Working? No, it is not working.
It's not different.
It's not different. Undani andi. Undani. I'll talk loudly. Okay, now don't talk. Sure, don't talk. So when you are skimming, you will take only the important information and leave out everything that is unimportant. Similarly, when you are scanning, you cannot leave out any information. You have to scan for specific information. Like for example, you want to know which time one certain train is moving or going, or what is the time of a bus, what is the time of a train. What will you do? You look at the, what is it called?
Platform.
The timetable. Timetable, the chart, and you will scan the chart. Okay, scanning means what? Then you look at every bit of information, particular information, and then you take that particular information. So, if you want to read fast, you should know how to read fast.
Yes,
you cannot always read everything in the same way. You should not. You should know when to take only the main points, and you should know, if you are reading something, which are the main points you need to take and which is the specific information you need to take. Okay, unless you decide on that, if you read everything similarly, your reading will become very slow. Everything you cannot scan. If you scan everything, you will not proceed fast. Or if you skim everything, you will not get important information. Okay, so you have to know how to balance and how to adjust between the two. So what are the two things I told you before this? Skimming and scanning. Now this is the same thing. Now I want you to read it here. Okka nimisham, just 1 minute. Now read this. Chunking in reading. First thing I told you was about skimming and scanning. Okay, so you should know when to skim, you should know when to scan. Suppose you are doing a reading comprehension. Generally you get reading comprehension questions. Do you scan or do you skim?
Scan.
Do you only scan? No, sometimes you skim also, because it is always helpful if you see the questions before and then you start reading the passage. So when you start reading the passage, you will know exactly, yes, this is the place where the answer might be found. So you'll look at that very much more closely. You will scan that part. You might skim some parts of it, but you should also learn how to scan some parts of a passage. Now, another trick to improve your reading skill is to do chunking. Now, one of you read that aloud, that sentence?
Reading is an essential skill in academic as well as professional activity.
Yes. Now, I want you to be conscious about how many times your eye is moving when you are reading that. Can you calculate it? Yeah? Eyes are moving? How many times here and there? First one line only. 5 times maybe. At one time you will read reading. Then you will read is an essential skill in academic as well as professional career. So what happens is generally when you are reading, your eye moves. And your eye stays in one point and then it moves to another point. It is like, eye is like this. Yeah. And it gets this much of information. Then it moves from here to here. Again it will get this much of information. So every time the eyeball stays in a place, it moves, it takes around 2 seconds to move. So what will happen? If your eyeballs move more frequently, you will need more time to read. But if you gradually practice to keep your eyes in one place and read more material, then in 2 shifts only, your reading will be over. For example, look at this. The second one is?
Reading is an essential skill.
Yeah.
Academic as well as professional career.
Yeah. So do you realize now you can read this by moving your eyes only thrice, not 5 times.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can say reading is an essential skill in academic as well as professional career. Third time read it. Professional career. You can read it even by moving your eyeballs twice. So what will happen there? You will keep your eyes in one place, take in more information, quickly move your eye to another place and take in more information. Now you have to sometimes very consciously do this. When you have to look at one place and see how much far you can see, how much of more information you can take in. If you keep practicing this, you will realize you will gradually start reading much faster than you did before. Like one paragraph, if earlier it was taking you 1 minute, gradually it will take you half a minute. And you will be able to get the important information from it also. Now there is a way to get important information. When you are reading a passage, when you are reading a paragraph, as I was telling you, you do not need to read everything in the same way. You should be able to tell what the important information there is. Because whenever you are reading, you will have to start guessing. Yeah? Guessing is a very important way of reading well. Guessing is a very important way of reading quickly, reading properly. Okay, then you will also get more of the meaning. Guessing is a very important aspect of reading. So I will show you now how you can guess. Look at this. Can you read this? Someone read the first one.
I can take in information only when it stops.
Yes. Next one.
We always have a move, stop, read,
Movement. Next one.
Mind takes around 2 seconds.
Yes.
The lesser number of movements, the lesser time we take to read.
Yes.
Effective reading will minimize the stops and maximize the number of
Reading in every stop. Is this clear?
Yes.
So you should try to take in more information every time your eye moves. And then your reading will also become gradually quicker, faster. Yeah. Yes. How do you identify? Last bench. What's your name? Rakesh. What was I telling what was there in the previous slide? How to improve reading. How do you improve reading? Cheppu. What about eye movement? What about eye movement? Sit down. Okay, now, so how do you identify and how do you summarize the key ideas? It is very important for you to learn how to identify key ideas. For that, you need to separate facts, quickly understand what are facts, find key information, identify important words and phrases. Only then you will be able to move very quickly through the reading process. Now, when you are reading, I want to give you this paper. Look at this. Take the paper and pass it on. Find out the main ideas, sub-ideas, and put them all together. Okay, and how do you do it? It can sometimes look like this. Now look at this. What are the main ideas and what are the sub-ideas?
First term identify main idea. Second term identify important point.
Yes.
Planning division of content accessibility. Three important time.
Yes.
C writing subheading. Use passes. Ignore unimportant information. And number of
Subheadings and subpoints. Now, if you can do this quickly, if you can gradually read a piece of writing and quickly make this into points and subpoints, you will be able to gather the main idea in a passage, the main idea in a paragraph. There is another way of doing it also. Now, this is called, we call it mind mapping. Did anybody do mind mapping with you? Who did it? Now this is called mind mapping. Now, why is it called mind mapping? Because when you are reading something, automatically your mind works in a certain way. Okay? Now your mind, when you look at your mind, basically when you have a plain paper in front of you, can you go to a plain paper, open a plain white sheet in front of you, turn the page which I have given. Close your eyes for 1 minute. First of all, turn the white sheet. Close your eyes for a minute. Okay. And then open your eyes and look at the paper. Okay. Which part of the paper did you see first? The middle. You would always see the middle part first. Why? Because that is how the mind works. The mind always works from middle to outside. Okay. So what happens when you read something? You first get the main idea, put it in the middle, and then you start drawing lines like this. Okay. Now what happens in a brain? There are nerves. And the nerves go like this.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you heard, do you do biology?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What are these called? Nerves are called what?
Veins.
Synaptic. They are called branches actually. And these branches don't go straight.
Yes, ma'am.
They always go in curved lines. Yes? So, if you read a piece of a passage or something which you have to learn for your examination, put the main idea in between, and then you go on reading along, go on making the main ideas like this. What will happen? Automatically your mind will keep all the information properly. Do you know? We never forget anything. We never forget anything. We only don't put the information in the right file in the brain. And that is why when we can't find the file, we say we have forgotten. But all the information which you have ever seen is always there in your brain. It will never go anywhere. Only thing is, if you gradually learn how to do a mind map like this and put the information properly, the moment you remember one, health, automatically your mind will remember all these things. Your brain will automatically tell you all these things. It's very interesting the way the mind works. If you can make the mind work, each of you can become a genius actually. And if you learn this art of making a mind map and working through a mind map, I am sure you can do many interesting things with your studies. Your creativity will become better. Whatever you read, you will automatically remember. You will learn how to make logical connections. You would also learn how to pick up the main ideas. Now, if I ask you to look at this and make it into a note like how you did it in the previous time. Like, this is the previous one. Like this. Main points, sub-points. Okay. Can you do this? The same thing. Which are the main points? What will be the title of this whole note? Health. And what are the main points? Exercise, stress, sleep, diet, health. These will be the main points. And then what will be the sub points here? Yes, effects of exercise, exams, courses, and then relaxation. Okay, I'll give it all to you. Okay, so you can take it and do whatever you want. So what happens is, if you can convert an article which you see into main points and sub points and put them in this kind of a format, your mind will become much more efficient. Your memory will become more efficient. And when you are reading, you also have to gradually develop the art of doing logical thinking. Your logical thinking will become so much more efficient. You'll know how to connect between different points also. Okay, so can you do this quickly into main points and sub points? In the group where you are sitting, do it and tell me. Do that now. Convert this into main points and sub points, like note making. Convert this mind map into a note, so that when you see a note, you can make a mind map, and when you see a mind map, you can make a note. You can work together and do it. Talk among yourselves and do it. Huh? Health. Make it into notes. Main points, sub points. How this is written in the previous fashion. Like note making. This is a mind map. I want you to convert this mind map into a note. Do it quickly. Do it in 5 minutes. Yeah? Louder, louder. No, not paragraph. Note. Main points, sub points. Can one of you go and start doing it on the blackboard? Straight away?
No marker.
There is no marker?
Yes, ma'am.
No marker. If there is marker, then 5 minutes.
Okay. No problem. Do it and we'll read it. Talk among yourselves and do it.
For centuries, or to make hay as the Tibetans did, but some more modernized Western uses may tempt you to try experimenting yourself
Cambodia,
Cambodia, India, Japan, Korea, and the Western world.
Western world. Done? Over? Now, widespread. Now can one person read? Read it loud, yeah. All of you keep quiet, listen to her.
The most widespread use of kites in modern times has been for
Meteorological.
meteorological investigations. Everybody knows about how Benjamin Franklin, the great American scholar and statesman, sent a kite up in 1752 during a thunderstorm to prove that lightning was caused by electricity. He produced sparks at ground level from a key hung on the well line as the current flowed down it.
All of you got the meaning?
Huh?
Sit down. All of you got the meaning? Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
I want somebody to read the next paragraph.
A second investigator repeated Franklin's experiment shortly afterwards and was killed. By sending up instruments on kites, it has been possible to make readings of air pressure, temperature, speed, direction, and humidity. Although thermometers had been sent up long before, it was not until 1894 that a self-reading thermometer, a thermograph, was sent up by a kite.
Kite. Good. All of you did it well. Now, if I want to convert this into a mind map, first what we'll do is, can one of you read this aloud from that bench? Stand up. Read it loudly.
You may never want to fly kites to keep away evil spirits, as the Chinese have done for centuries, or to make rain, as the Tibetans did. But some more modern and Western uses may tempt you to try experimenting yourself along similar lines. Ancient and medieval Chinese sources describe kites being used for measuring distances, testing the wind, lifting man, signaling and communication for military operations. The earliest known Chinese kites were flat, not bowed, and often rectangular. Later tailless kites incorporated a stabilizing bowline. Kites were decorated with mythological motifs and legendary figures. Some were fitted with strings and whistles to make musical sounds while flying. From China, kites were introduced to Cambodia, India, Japan, Korea, and the Western world.
Okay, thank you. Good. Now, will this have this part? Just the cue for you, there are 4 subpoints. So there are 2 over here. Yeah? Write it down and make the subpoints. Do it quickly and make those lines, curved lines, and then lines moving away from the curved lines. Ancient uses. The first subtitle will be Ancient Uses. And what are the ancient uses? China, Tibet. And what was it used for China in? Yes? Yes. Yes. So basically in ancient Chinese and Tibetan culture, kites were used for measuring distance, looking at the wind pressure, looking at direction of the wind. What else? Lifting. Lifting men also. Okay. Okay. Now that was the uses. So what do you write at the main subpoint? Uses of the kites. Where? In China and Tibet. China and Tibet. Uses of kites. And we know that they are being used for so many things right from the beginning. What will be the other subpoint? They are talking about? What is this last bit they are talking about? No, they are talking about how they were made. They are talking about how they were made. They were sometimes rectangular, tailless. When flights became tailless, they had to put a bow in between to give it a certain kind of shape. Okay, what else? Shapes of kites. Sometimes they also had whistles, colors, whistles. Okay, now all these were different ways in which some were rectangular, some were flat. So these were the different kinds of kites which were made. Where? In ancient China and Tibet. Okay, clear? Then what is the next subpoint? The next subpoint is here. Modern kites in the modern ages, or uses of kites in the modern age. And what were the uses of kites? What was the first experiment conducted with kites? No. To test whether what was happening with the thunderstorms. And what did he do? What did Benjamin Franklin do? He put electricity. He showed how electricity can pass down till the earth also through the kite. So that was one experiment which was done. And then later what happened? Thermometers. Why would we send our thermometers in a kite? To measure the air pressure and the temperature. And the speed direction also. Okay, yes. So these things also were done by sending up kites and by sending up thermometers along with the kites, which will give us all the data. So kites were used like how we use satellites today. Okay, so now we use satellites which are more powerful, which can go more distance, and then we collect information about what is there in space. But those days we used to fly kites to basically show, to see what is happening up in the air. Yeah? So kites went to a distance where human beings could not go. Yes? Have you all, do you fly kites?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you fly kites for Shankaranti?
Yes, ma'am.
You can fly. Yes, yes. So but then one question. Did flights originate in China, in India? Did kites originate in India?
No.
How do you know? Where is that information? Where is that information?
China.
Which line? Which line? It, what is there in that line? Yeah, but what is that line? Where, in which line is it there? China? Yes.
Japan, Korea, and
China. Yeah. So the important word over here is introduced, which means they were brought, which means kites were not native to India. Okay, they were, somebody else were brought in from another country into India. So when I am doing this, I am doing scanning. When I am asking you, did kites originate in India? And then you go back, look at that sentence, and then you say, no, that sentence shows that kites did not originate in India. What you are doing is scanning. Okay, but if I ask you, what were kites used for later in the modern times? To basically look at wind temperature and wind pressure. There I am asking you to do skimming. Just the basic main idea you are supposed to get. You are not supposed to read little bit by bit and look at the information coming from there. Clear? Do you get a rough idea as to how to do a mind map from the piece of writing? Can you do it now before your examinations? If you do that, suppose you have to remember a piece of writing for your examination, and you just start doing a mind map of it. If you make one mind map of every topic you have, automatically the whole thing will be there in your memory in a very well, organized fashion. Okay? Yeah? Okay. Now, look at this. Read this. Is it?
70% of the available agriculture.
Yeah, he is reading weight. And when he is reading, I want you to look at the logical structure. Is it correct? I want you to see. Sure. I want you people to check if the logical structure is correct. Okay, read loudly.
In this rural area, 70% of the available agricultural land suffers from drainage and lack of irrigation. As a result, the crops are usually marginal with hardly enough production to feed the farmer's family. The first phase to consider is that
The first fact.
considered is that cover 60% of the population live in rural communities in my country. One of the most urgent problem facing the government in my country. One of the most urgent problem facing the government today relates to agriculture, and without irrigation, agricultural production is fully dependent on the uncertain rainfall. To understand the nature of this problem, one has to look at some of the facts.
Facts. Is this logical?
Yeah.
Is this sentence logical? Make it logical.
Okay, ma'am.
Rewrite it.
Rewrite.
Work with your friends and rewrite it. Which sentence will come first? Which sentence will come after that? Rewrite the whole thing. No, they are not logical. Which do you think will come first? Always, whenever you are reading, remember the first line in a passage, in a paragraph, will give you a topic sentence. Will be about the general topic, general idea in the whole paragraph. And then it will follow with the facts. So which sentence over here gives you an overall idea of what this is about?
This is about agricultural land was drying without water.
Yeah, but which sentence here? Scan it. Now scan it. Which sentence can?
60% population.
In my country. Suppose we are talking about India. Okay. So suppose I am just giving you the first line. In my country, one of the most urgent problems. Now, just a minute. Why do I think this is the first line? Because it represents the idea of the entire passage. So giving that first line, after that what will follow? Write down. Write it down. After this I am giving you one clue. The rest of the passage you try to make into a proper logical pattern. Or the second line. And that will give you an idea of what the whole paragraph is about. Now, very important, when you are reading something, you should know how the paragraph is connected. Yeah, this problem. So, this connects with what? The first line. All of you listen. Over here, this word this connects to the first line. And then the facts. The facts. And here the first fact. These rural areas. Irrigation as well. Okay? Yes. So what happens? The whole paragraph is constructed like a chain where one line is always connected to the other. They're always connected to one another. And that is a logical paragraph. So when you're reading, you should also look for that kind of a logic in a paragraph. Clear? Okay? Now look at the paper which I have given you and read that. Read it, all of you. Over. Can one first main point? Can somebody stand up and tell? Stand up, stand up. Stand up and tell. Children? Children behave aggressively. Aggressive means what? Copa. Angry. Why? Why do they behave aggressively? Because watching violence. They show a lot of violence. Okay. Thank you. Next main point. What is the next? Stand up, stand up. Fundamental skills of communication. What happens? Yes. So what happens? Is it good or bad? Good. So the paragraph is talking about the advantages and disadvantages of television. So one advantage is that it makes them aggressive. And the disadvantage is that Sorry, disadvantage is that it makes them aggressive. An advantage is that it is educational, it teaches them how to communicate. What else?
Television
Yes, stand up, stand up. Stand up.
Television discourages the sort of games that enable the young to discover their strengths and weaknesses.
Yes. So what is she saying? Television? Discourages. Like if there is no television, you can go out and play in a field. But if there is television, you don't tend to.
And they are silent while they are watching.
Yes, they are all the time watching and sitting. So that becomes a very big disadvantage. And protects. Yes, what is another disadvantage? Tell me. It makes them crave for new things, fashionable toys, unnecessary things. So, yeah, unhealthy food. It makes children ask for unhealthy food and unhealthy toys. How does television do that?
Television reduces opportunities also.
Opportunities. How? Stand up and explain. How does it reduce?
Opportunities like basic family relationships and understanding
Yes.
understanding of children themselves.
Yes.
Understanding themselves.
True, true. It reduces family relationships and children understanding themselves. Yeah? Yes. Stand up. Provides the answers? Too easy. Okay. So you find in this paragraph that television has got. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Only reduces opportunities. How? What kind of opportunities television reduces? Opportunities, what kinds of opportunities? Yes, yes, stand up. Stand up and television?
Television discourages the result that thus adults they will be less fulfilled.
Okay.
Because of the games and the television is giving games.
True, true. Yes, any other point over there? Yeah? Yes, it also manipulates them.
Television discourages their strength.
Yes, it doesn't enable them to discover their strength also. Okay. Now, so when you read this, can you make it into main points and subpoints and pass it on to me? Will you give it to your main madam, Vijay madam? She'll give it to me. Okay. So generally your classes are till how long? 4:15. Okay. Time up. Okay. Yeah? Make one activity. Next. Next.
Entertainment.
It gives us a lot of entertainment. Next. Yes. Stand up, stand up. So many? Advantages and disadvantages. There are many disadvantages and advantages. Yeah? Give update news. What is the other advantage of television? Current advantages. Advantages. Yeah? Education. It gives information, it gives news, it tells us about education. Yeah?
Knowledge with extracurricular.
It gives us a lot of knowledge.
Such of information, madam. Such of information.
A source of information. Yeah? What is going on in society?
News, what are you doing?
News about what is going on. Yeah? Do you think communication skills? How does television improve communication skills? Listening. You can listen to a lot of things and try to understand. News reading also. Okay, it can help you listen properly. For entertainment. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you about the disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of television? Waste of time. Why? Waste of time doesn't mean anything. Why is it a waste of time? Stand up and talk. Why is it a waste of time? Stand up and talk. One at a time. Then stand up and talk. Yeah?
Continuously watching movies.
Continue to watch. Yes. Yeah? I can't hear you. Stand up. Huh? Blue rays. Have you heard about? You have got another question. From your side. What do you want? I taught such small children after a very long time. Generally I teach very big people. So, it's new for me. After almost 20 years, I taught children this small. So thank you.
Thank you so much.